Hey, how you doing? David Taub here, co-creator of nextlevelguitar.com. How you doing? Hope all is well. Hey, been getting some email questions from some students that are a little confused on the pattern in a 12-bar blues, and also what's the difference between a slow change and a fast change. So I'm going to explain all that to you in this lesson. I'm also going to show you a cool 12-bar progression, and I'm going to show you how to embellish it, and we'll play something like this. And in the midst of the lesson, I'll explain the differences between a fast change and a slow change. So I'll just do a fast change here, and just so you can kind of hear it, and then I'll break it down. Sound like this. Now there's lots of different types of progressions in the blues, and there are variations on the 12 bar, the slow and the fast change, and 12 bar is only one type, probably the most common type, where the set of chord changes, usually it's just 3 chords, and you play those in a pattern for 12 bars, and then it repeats the next 12 bars, and it repeats again for 12 bars, and every 12 bars it just keeps repeating. Now that's a 12 bar blues. There's also, 8 bar blues and 16 bar blues, 24 bar blues, but 12 bar blues is the most common, and you do need to know the difference between the slow and the fast change. Oh, before I forget, if you want a killer blues guitar lesson that is not on YouTube, something I put together showing you an expanded scale, blues scale that you can play over half the neck almost, combining all these boxes and lots of licks using that scale, and how to, take that scale, break it down, make licks out of it. It's an absolutely killer lesson. If you want that lesson and a free ebook which diagrams out that scale and 20 more, like 21 scale diagrams, fretboard diagrams, this booklet is packed, 35 pages. If you want the booklet and the free video lesson not on YouTube, just click on that link below and we'll send it to you for free from nextlevelguitar.com. We're playing a 1-4-5 12-bar blues progression, and we're playing this in the key of B, so our B will be the 1 chord. We'll be playing this up here at the 7th fret, and I'm going to give you a tight shot of this too at the low E string. We're going to be playing a B 5th chord, and we're going to be embellishing it playing the 6th chord, and we're even going to go a half step further, and we'll get a rhythm together that sounds like this. And I'm giving it a heavy palm mute, kind of like give it that chugging sound. If I don't palm mute, it'll sound like this. And you can do that too. I kind of like that kind of sound. Experiment with it. And so the B will be the 1 chord, and then when it changes after either 1 measure or 4 measures on that 1 chord, and I'll explain that in a second, we're going to be switching to an E 5th chord. That's in the key of B. Our E is the 4 chord. And we're going to be doing the same exact thing on that chord. We'll just be staying on it a different amount of times or measures. And then the only other chord you have to worry about is the 5 chord in the key of B. That would be an F sharp. B is the 1. E is the 4, F sharp is the 5. We're going to do the same thing on that chord. And then I did that little turnaround at the end there. You probably heard it a million times, and I'll show you what all that is up close. But here's the difference, and I'm going to draw this out on the screen so you could see it. The 12-bar pattern is something you have to memorize, and you're staying on the 1 chord a certain amount of measures before switching to the 4 chord, then it's back to the 1 chord, then you go to the 5 chord, to the 4 chord, back to the 1 chord, and then the turnaround. Now it sounds like a lot, but after a while, and after you listen to it for a few times, like when I play it, you'll have it down. The only difference between the slow change and the fast change is that with the fast change, you go to the 4 chord after only 1 measure on the 1 chord. So basically the only difference between a fast change and a slow change in this bluesy progression is on bar 2. You're either staying on the 1 chord or you're switching to the 4 chord. Here's how that sounds. I'll do a slow change first. So that means we're staying on the 1 chord for 4 bars or 4 measures, and then switching to the 4 chord for 2 measures. It'll sound like this. I'll count it out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's 1 measure. 2 measures. 3 measures. 4th measure. I gotta switch after this. 4 chord. 1 measure. 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. Back to the 1 chord. And it goes on from there. Okay, now that's the slow change. Now the fast change, which is often used in like slower blues songs, slower tempos, the fast change means we're only going to stay on the 1 chord for 1 measure. And then on the 2nd measure or 2nd bar, we go to the 4 chord for 1 measure, and then back to the 1 chord for 2 measures. Then I'm back to the 1 chord for 2. 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and back to the 4 chord for 2. And it continues on and so on and so forth, okay? So that's it. That's the only difference, is that 2nd bar. So let me show you this 12-bar progression in the key of B up close, this rhythm that we're playing. Here's the 7th fret, low E string. That's our B note. We're going to play a 5th chord, so you're on the 7th fret, low E string. And with your 3rd finger, just grab the 9th fret on the A string. You have a little B 5th chord. And then what we're going to do is we're going to embellish it by playing the 6th to make it a B 6th chord by adding our pinky to that 11th fret on the A string. It's a little bit of a stretch, but you could do it with a little bit of practice. And that is on that A flat note. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the 5th 2 times. And I have my palm laying right on the strings to give it that muted sound. And this is the kind of rhythm, very 8th note feel, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. And use all downstrokes for this. But we're going to work the pinky between the 11th fret and the 12th fret to get some cool sounds. So it'll look like this. So 2 downs on the B5, and then hit the B6. And then you're going to hit the B6 again. So it's B5, B6, B6, and then move that pinky up to the 12th fret so you catch that A note. So you get this sound. And after you hit it twice at the 12th fret with your pinky there, and you're still fretting the 7th fret on the low E string, right? So you get this so far. And then go back to the 11th fret. So you kind of, that kind of movement. And then it's 2 times for each chord, 2 downstrokes. So if you count it out, it's kind of like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and very 8th note feel. And practice it just holding that chord. And then you're going to do the same thing when the chord changes to the 4 chord or the E chord. You're just going to move everything down 1 string. So now my first finger's on the 7th fret of the A string, and my 3rd finger will be on the 9th fret of the D string. And let that first finger kind of spill over so you mute the low E string. You don't want to play the low E string, and you have this E5. And then the pinky goes up another whole step to the 11th fret, and you have your E6. But we're going to work that pinky again up to that 12th fret, 2 hits each. And see how it switched it back when it changes back to the... back to that B chord. And then when it goes to the 5 chord, all you're going to do is you're going to go up to a whole step away from when you're playing the E at the 7th fret, go up a whole step. And your first finger's on the 9th fret or on that F sharp note, because remember we're in the key of B and the root is B or the 1. The 4 chord will be the E and the 5 chord will be the F sharp. So do the exact same thing we were doing but up a whole step on the A string. So you have 9th fret with your first finger on the A string. 3rd finger should be on that 11th fret on the C sharp note on the D string. And that's your F sharp 5th. And then your pinky's going to grab the 13th fret for the F sharp 6th. And then 1 fret more, the 14th fret. So you get this on the 5 chord. And then you shift that down to the 4 chord. And then up to the 1 chord. So let me play it all the way through, and we're going to do it with the slow change. So remember, the slow change is 4 bars on the 1, and then 2 bars on the 4 chord. So as I'm doing this, I'll write it out in text so you can see as the chords change, how it goes from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, back to the 1 chord, to the 5, to the 4, to the 1, and then we do a little turnaround. And the turnaround, we'll just play a 5th chord on the 5 chord, the E, and then just go up a half step to the F, 5, and then the F sharp 5. Probably heard that a million times. So here's the whole thing with the slow change. So we're going to go to the 4 chord after 4 bars on the 1 chord. I'll write it out in text. Sounds like this. And it starts over again. So if I just show you the fast change in this 12-bar blues, and the only difference is that 2nd bar, instead of staying on the 1 chord, it goes to the 4 chord. So you see how it went after 1 bar on the 1 chord, right to the 4 chord for 1 bar, and then back to the 1 chord for 2 bars. And that's the only difference between the fast change and the slow change. So practice is slow. Use the heavy palm muting. And I'm using all downstrokes. So you can see in this shot, my palm is right on the bridge. I'm laying it right on the strings, and I'm muting them. You could kind of see the flat of my palm is laying right on the strings, and that's how I get that sound. And again, it's just that. That 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you know 12-bar pattern. You know the difference between a slow and a fast change. I did it in the key of B. Practice it in all keys. Practice that heavy palm muting. Add some distortion, some gain if you like. Get creative. Have fun with it. Jam over it, right? And be sure to click on that link below for the free video lesson on expanded blues scales and licks and killer chops and killer riffs we're coming up with. And it's killer. And you get the killer PDF ebook with that, right? So be sure to click on that link. And if you have a few extra minutes, check out our website, Complete Structured Learning Curriculum, www.nextlevelguitar.com. Lessons for beginners, intermediates, advanced players, all genres of music. It's absolutely packed. I'm David Taub. You're the good people. You keep on rocking. Keep putting those guitars in your hands every day, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Stay positive. Remember, you can do it. And I'll see you in the next lesson. Rock on.